the loss of the Toronto Raptors revealed a couple of things in that game, right? There's several problems with this team, and tanking isn't one of them. Like, I want to be clear. At this point, wins and losses aren't the problem here. It's that they're not developing. Yeah, Josh Giddey wasn't himself. Modest definitely struggled. Rob Dillingham only played 10 minutes. Jaden Ivey didn't play at all. Meanwhile, Patrick Williams played almost 30 minutes. Anfernee Simons led the team in minutes and in scoring. We don't know if he's even going to return. And Nick Richards barely touched the floor. And he's this type of big that we need out there with Josh Giddey. So what exactly is the plan? On today's episode, we're talking about all of that, my thoughts from that game and more right after this. What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host, Derek Hayes, but more importantly, you guys could follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform where we happen to be on. With that said, let's go and get into this content for this. So if there are any questions left, because some Bulls fans were still doubting it, the Chicago Bulls are tanking. I feel safe in saying that. Now, keep in mind, I'm somebody who for years said I don't see AK tanking. Now, I do think this is a one-season tank, and we'll get into the reasons why on that more so down as the show progresses. But I think that is clear here. This Chicago Bulls team is absolutely in a spiral, and it's tanking. That's just the reality of it. And you've seen it by the lineups and matchups that they did. More on that in a second. You see by like just this the little micro transactions that happen there in regards to just looking at what it means for the Bulls. And yeah, the Bulls were competitive at times in this game. They got the lead down to 4 at one point in the fourth quarter. They go on a 7-0 run late that locks that in. The Raptors then match with a 7-0 run, and the game is the game at that point, right? There are times where the offense looks solid. Even with Josh Giddey not quite being himself, it looked like more of an actual offense than what we saw, just a little bit. And I think that's because of the familiarity with the players are building. They've gotten a few practices in over the All-Star break. Those type of things are there. They're going to be at home for 7 straight games, which gives them more time to get more practices in. I think one of the things a lot of fans don't really realize is that the teams don't practice a lot during the regular season. I think people overlook that. They have shoot around a lot, but if they have some homestands, they get some practices in there. But you have your 2-week training camp, and you establish 90% of the fundamentals that you're doing. Now, of course, you add little wrinkles on as the season goes on, but I think some people really do miss out on the fact that this isn't like high school. You're not getting weekly practices in there. Sometimes you'll go a week and only have a couple of 2 or 3 shoot-arounds, right? And that's outside of what happens before the game, and that's just the reality of traveling in the NBA, things like that. So they did look like they made some progression as far as chemistry in a little bit of the areas. I won't say that it was huge. I won't say that it's anything markedly different to where we're like, oh my God, look at this little wrinkle. They keep this going on. They're going to win X, Y, Z. It's nothing like that. And I want to be clear that that's not what I'm saying at all. But you did see a little bit of progress there. And as Josh Giddey gets back more acclimated, you get that. You got a fucking goose egg basically from Modest Buzelis. Like, listen, I saw some people say, well, this is why Modest doesn't need to talk. No, I love the fact that Modest is very vocal. Because again, the thing that I like to do is I like to hold people accountable to what the hell they say. So Modest said that he was ready for war. You wasn't ready for war. Now go and actually get ready for war. You laid a goose egg, bro. The length of the Toronto Raptors, CMB, all those type of things, they put you in a box, bro. And Modest Buzelis had nothing to do with it. I mean, nothing to do that he could to overcome that. And that's where Modest needs to develop his back. He needs to develop a handle. He needs to develop more consistent off-ball movement. I maintain this. If Modest Buzelis is not going to get opportunities to handle the ball, which he did get some, he had a lot of turnovers yesterday, but if he's not going to get an opportunity to handle the ball, you need to be slashing and cutting to the rim because teams are going to play you for the lob threat because you can yam it on people. And so teams are going to play you for that, which you can collapse the defense. But again, maybe that's just my basketball mind. The Bulls clearly see it being different. But to get back on track here, you can clearly see there were times and periods in this game where the Bulls or winning was not the Bulls at the forefront of their mind. But the problem is that while winning wasn't at the forefront of their mind, which I don't think many Bulls fans thought that it was, like I said, very small community that was still holding out the hope that, oh my God, the Bulls can still make a run here and try to get into the play-in and all this type of stuff. And, we even had people in the post-game show yesterday. They're like, well, technically, the Chicago Bulls are only 2 games back of the 10th seed. It's like, yeah, you're talking possibility. I'm talking probability. The probability of the Chicago Bulls at this point really gearing in to really make a significant run for the play-in, it just doesn't look likely via what we're seeing right now. But hey, maybe we can be wrong on that. Josh Giddey didn't look himself. Modest played like absolute cheeks. The lineup was weird. So, if they fix those things, maybe things change. And, we'll see. As new information comes available, it is okay to change your opinion. But right now, part of the problem isn't the Bulls winning or losing. It's the fact that you're not developing either. What the hell was that last night? Like, okay, you didn't play Jaden Ivey, which already was super questionable as hell to not play Jaden Ivey at all, to go into the game with the plan of a DNP. And that's what Wes Unseld Jr. made it seem like, is that this was a pre-planned DNP for Jaden Ivey. Not that you were reading the ebbs and flows of the game, not that you wanted to give one of the young guys a chance, and you said to yourself, well, if this young guy plays well and he keeps up the momentum, that we're gonna ride with him today. Not that. It was that you came into this game with a preconditioned mindset of not playing Jaden Ivey. Jaden Ivey, the player that's a restricted free agent, that before he went down with injury was turning into himself a really good on-ball scorer and developed a little bit off-ball, and instead of that, you played Patrick Williams almost 30 minutes, right? And then even if you're saying, okay, we're going with the lineup that makes more sense, you played Nick Richards 12 minutes. Nick Richards played 12 minutes last night. 12. And as your only player really on the roster that actually plays center that's over 6'10", you didn't even play him a lot. So, like, it's that aspect of things that always you look at with this Bulls team, and you always got to question, like, why do they do everything asshole-ass backwards? Why is everything so intrinsically linked to this team that they do stuff so asshole-ass backwards so consistently? It makes no sense. Patrick Williams, 27 minutes. Cool. All right, well, okay, what does that mean? Colin Sexton, 15. All right, you can make a case for Colin Sexton not being a part of your long-term future, but if that's the case, and Colin Sexton isn't part of your long-term future, why no Jaden Ivey instead of that? Right? Why no Jaden Ivey instead of that? I get it. Is Colin Sexton better and he's healthier now? Yeah, but you want Jaden Ivey to get over that injury, right? No question there. Isaac Okoro with 30 minutes in this game. He got 12 shots. Isaac Okoro got the second most shots on this team yesterday. The second most shots on the team. First went to Anfernee Simons with 18. Then third was Miles Buzelis with 10. Those are the only players with double-digit shot attempts. Now, you go that far into your bench, I can understand not a lot of players getting double-digit shot attempts, but Isaac Okoro with the second most shot attempts. Now, shout out to Isaac Okoro. He played himself a really good game. 16 points, going 6 of 12 shooting with 5 assists, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, only 1 turnover. All great numbers there for Isaac Okoro via what his role is. But really, 30 minutes and 12 shots, the second most shots on the team? There's just so much in this rotation that's backwards. And I know people are blaming Wes Unseld and saying, well, this is why Wes Unseld isn't a head coach. I think Wes Unseld was following the script. Now, maybe I'm giving him too much credit there. Maybe he did go rogue. But it felt like script following to me. It feels like this was the script that the Chicago Bulls as an organization came into this and said, this is what we're going to do. This is the plan. This is how we're going to execute it and go out here and do this. And Wes Unseld said, all right, cool. I'm the assistant coach. This ain't my team. I'm just here to help facilitate. Bet that's what we're going to do. There's so much questionable in this. And this is the problem, right? You can have, we can't even call this an ethical tank, in my opinion, if you're not even developing the guys that could have a future here. We know who Anfernee Simons is. No knock on him. And like I said, I do expect the Bulls. To me, this does say that, hey, maybe they are going to try to make a nice press to try to keep Anfernee Simons here. If lineups like this continues, where Anfernee Simons is getting the most shots, he's playing, the most, not to say he shouldn't play at all, but if you're playing him to that level and you want to see his chemistry with Josh Giddey that much, to me that then says, hey, maybe they're planning on offering Anfernee Simons at least exactly what he wants. And if a contender matches or he wants to go somewhere for less, maybe they feel confident, can feel reflective in the sense that, hey, we gave him the offer that was best. We gave him the money that he was. He's decided to take less and go to a contender. There's nothing we can do for that. And I don't think you can say that they're necessarily shopping these guys either, right? Either the Bulls are this, and this is just my personal opinion. The Bulls are either in this, they're either short-sighted, dumb, or they're trying to increase players' values, which it doesn't really make any sense. Are you increasing Patrick Williams' value? Hell the fuck no, right? Like somebody, we always get these voicemails asking like, well, can you attach this to Patrick Williams and try to move up? if you attach Patrick Williams to any asset, immediately the value drops. Now, maybe the Bulls are trying to showcase Patrick Williams to a degree in that, but 8 shots, 6 points, 27 minutes, 7 rebounds, 0 of 4 from the three-point line with somebody who was the defense in his three-point shot was the thing that people were looking at the most for him. You're looking at those type of things. So that's what you're looking at. What's up? But we're trying to see if that, Patrick Williams doesn't have the value. We know that that's not going to be there for P. Will. Of all people, P. Will's value is not going to be the one that increases, and he didn't play well enough in that anyway. You have all these guys that are unrestricted free agents now. Yeah, maybe if you showcase these guys, but then again, the league knows who Anfernee Simons is. The league, got to see him for a winner this year, and they've gotten to see him on bad teams where he's been able to get up the most any shots that he wants to. The league knows that Anfernee Simons can get you 18 to 20 points if you play him in his role and play him to his position. So even if you are trying to increase the value to where you can get a sign and trade, the teams that are going to be interested in Anfernee Simons are going to be interested in him anyway. Colin Sexton, same thing there. This is why it's so hard. I said it before. Everything that AK does that puts you in a decent place and say, all right, that may be smart, right? In this case, not that necessarily the trades that AK made at the trade deadline were great trades, but going into a place where you've decided to prioritize your draft position in appearance, it appears that you've looked to prioritize your draft position to get yourself into a spot where you can get a good talent in this draft. At the same time as that, what is this that you got back with these pieces? Unless you're just not planning on keeping any of these guys. If you say if the Bulls next season or in this offseason, they don't maintain Jaden Ivey because of his injury. Let's say they let Anfernee Simons, Colin Sexton, all these guys walk, and it just doesn't matter. Okay, I guess it didn't matter what you did rotation-wise, but Rob Dillingham is still going to be on your team. You're not probably going to move him unless another team comes calling that's interested in his upside, but it's just everything with this squad, everything with this franchise continues to be asshole ass backwards, and it's that so consistently that it borderlines on idiocracy by the people running this team because they're stupid. That's the problem with this. It's the incompetence at every single level of this organization. Ownership, front office, coaching, complete incompetence and stupidity every place around. This is a time and opportunity you should be focused on development, right? That should be the thing. No Bulls fan would have any problem with the fact that, all right, we're trying to develop Modest now, or we're trying to develop Rob Dillingham. We're trying to get Josh Giddey and Modest's chemistry, or we're trying to get, Jalen and Modest those minutes out there to see if that can be, at least a starting front court force. Nobody's bothering you in that case. Most Bulls fans have come to the realization wins ain't coming the rest of the way of the season. The remaining 26 games left, wins aren't the priority. Most Bulls. I'm not going to. There are some that are still holding out hope, and there's still that are going to bitch if we lose, and I understand. Complain if we lose, and I understand that. But at least sell them on something. And this is the problem with this. Most teams that are in this place would focus on their development, focus on seeing what they have in their young guys, focus on trying to develop the young pieces to see, hey, we got to make a decision on Jaden Ivey. Are we going to extend an offer sheet or are we not going to extend an offer sheet? What's going to happen with that one? Those are things that you have to look at. And it's just, it's nothing being done across the board. We're not winning. We're not developing. We're not evaluating correctly either if we're really doing that, because the guys that you're playing the most, we already know they can do this shit. There is nothing in what the Bulls are doing right now that is leading us really anywhere, and that's the ultimate problem. You have pieces. You don't have a team. You have players. You don't have a team. You don't have cohesion, right? You have young players that you should be developing. You're not investing in them in the way that you should. And we're not even going to get into the Peter Pan shit. People like to still bring up the Peter Pan shit. The Peter Pan shit is long gone, dead, and it's not coming back. But at the same time, what are you doing? And you keep wanting us to wait to this mysterious 2026 offseason, and we'll get into that more in a second. But it's times like this that Artūras, like I said, everything that he does that remotely you can even kind of squint your eyes and say, all right, maybe I can see a little bit of the plan here. It immediately backtracks. Now, okay, Hayes, shut the hell up. Let's just say this, right? Let's take a look at this. Simons, he's playing minutes. He's already proven he can score. Maybe the Bulls are going to try to keep him. Maybe they try to sign and trade him. P. Will minutes, I can't rationalize P. Will minutes. He's not good enough for his value to change. That contract with his performance and it's just the type of player he is, it's not going to change. The Trey Jones 22 minutes. That makes sense. Trey Jones is one of Billy Donovan's favorite players, even though Billy Donovan wasn't coaching. But the questions with that are, if you do move on from Trey Jones this offseason, and you prioritize Rob Dillingham, you're not giving yourself a chance to evaluate that. And then the Isaac Okoro thing. What is the future of Isaac Okoro? I have no idea. Because, listen, I mean, is he going to be here? Are you really that locked into Isaac Okoro as your permanent starter at the 3? Now, I say that after he had one of his better games in the Chicago Bulls uniform and a loss, but it's still those things there. But nothing with this team other than them prioritizing draft position makes a lick of sense right now. Nothing. And I want to be clear on that. There is nothing that makes sense with this team. The development doesn't make sense via what we're seeing on the court. They're not developing. Trying to win games, they're not trying to win games. You're prioritizing your draft selection. That is the thing. And that if that's what you're doing more than anything, if you're putting on this, the draft position means more than anything the rest of these like if they were to say, hey, right now, development isn't even as big of a focus as us trying to get the best odds so that we can hopefully get some lottery luck. You better damn well hit on that draft pick. And that's another place where we can't trust AK right now is to hit on a draft pick. It's too much damage that's done there, right? And so right now, everything just seems asshole-ass backwards for this Bull squad. And that is part of the problem. That is part of the problem. But if it like all this does change if they get lottery luck. I'll be clear here. As much as I've just spent the last 15 minutes completely and utterly killing this team, I still want to be clear and fair in this. If they really do get some, not even lottery luck, if they draft a player that does end up developing into a star for them, it's all worth it. And I want to be clear there. It will all still be worth it. Now, they still have the next moves to do after that. They have to develop that guy. They have to have the right coaching. They have the right system, the right philosophies, put the right pieces. And then once that guy and hopefully Josh Giddey and Modest and these other guys have developed over that time too, Noah Essengay, hopefully he's turned into something. Now, if you do have that younger core than what you had before, now you still got to find out and get the fill-out pieces for that. Now, they'll have more draft picks to get that done over the next few years, even if the drafts aren't that deep. But it all makes sense. But you have to hit on that. And I don't know if I trust AK putting all his eggs in one basket because we've seen that happen before. And his inability to adjust on the fly, his inability to read the room, his inability to future forecast has hurt this team far too much over his 6 years running this franchise. And that is part of another part. We are going to be more than likely a decade into Artūras Karnišovas running this Bulls team before we win a playoff series. Just by the way things seem to be going right now, it's probably going to be, if that even happens then, but we're 6 years in. That means over 4 years, can you win one playoff series? And even if you're able to do that, 10 years to get us from where we were to where we are now. And that would be a huge, I think, very vocal thing that Bulls fans should be on. It's not enough. It's not enough. Now, one thing that I do want to talk about here that people have been asked about is the new tanking rules. Now, we don't know exactly which one of those rules are going to be ratified yet. So I want to be clear here. It's a lot of anybody who's trying to react and say, "Oh my God, well the new tank rules are going to affect the Bulls in this way." We don't know yet. We have no idea yet, none, on exactly what they're going to. We got a list of possibilities that they could be voting on to try to help tanking, and more than likely, some of those are going to come through. One of those are going to be there, but it doesn't it just highlights this for me. This isn't going to be a multi-year tank job for the Chicago Bulls. I'm telling y'all that right now. For those that think, because I saw people like, oh, the Bulls would choose to tank now, and this is going to affect the draft classes in 27 and 28 ain't all that deep. They ain't planning to tank in 27 and 28. It's not happening. AK is putting everything on the summer of 2026, and I'd be willing to absolutely bet on that's the plan. They're putting all their chips in the summer of 2026 basket between the draft, free agency, assets, all of that. They are going to try to make their move. I know I said it before, but I believe it even more now. They are really trying to go all in on this summer of 2026 plan. And all I can say with that is, you better do it. You better exceed in it. We better be in a place after the summer of 2026 where it really looks like it. Because like I've laid out and said before, these teams in the East are getting better. Even without knowing what they do in the draft, what they're doing in places. Detroit's young. They're going to get better, right? The Toronto Raptors are young. They're going to get better. We already know they were star hunting at this trade deadline. Chances are they're probably going to be star hunting again this summer. The Philadelphia 76ers, Tyrese Maxey's looking like an MVP caliber player. They got VJ Edgecombe. They're going to get better. The Orlando Magic, they may stay about the same. We'll see what they end up doing, right? But then you look at the Atlanta Hawks, going to continually get better. The Charlotte Hornets, their young team, going to continually better. The Milwaukee Bucks, we don't even know what the hell they doing. But then the teams under the Bulls. The Washington Wizards made all-in moves. Tyrese Halliburton's coming back for the Indiana Pacers. Like, that's what's there. That is what it in your conference. So if you really want to, if your summer of 2026 plan is to get the Bulls back to being competitive, you better damn well hit on what you're trying to do this summer, because I tell you what, right now, the chances of coming out of the summer of 2026 and being a drastically different team, it don't look promising. Now, we may have more hope in that because you got a young draft pick. Maybe you get 2, maybe hell, you get 3 of the first 32 picks in this draft. But we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen here. But right now, there is no trust for AK because AK ain't earned no trust. So how are you going to have trust in something that's not earned? And that's where we sit right now with this team. But here's the real question. That's it for today's episode, but here's the question. If you're already losing, why not fully commit to development? And so, like, the Bulls tanking with a purpose is cool. Or are they tanking without direction? That's the question here. Drop your thoughts down in the comments down below. I want to know how you guys feel on this one. Make sure you guys are following us at Bulls Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. BullsCentralPod@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, but that's thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, stay safe, go Bulls, and always see red if you can, y'all. Love you guys. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.